Let's go. Let's make sure I'm not showing any bollock or anything.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Immediately demonetized. That's going to happen anyway.
But the good news is, OnlyFans.
Yes. Hi, my name's Johnny, and today, this is going to be a very exciting video. I've got my good friend Matt Parker here, joining me in the flesh. I think this might be the first in-flesh person I've had on the channel,
Yeah.
which is very exciting. So,
Nice.
welcome. Today, what we are going to be doing is checking out all of my bases. There's too many of them, and seeing if I can, just using my ears, removing my eyes, and seeing if I can tell what is what. There's a whole range of price ranges that we've got here. Some very similar, some very comparative, but other ends of the spectrum. So I think this will be a really interesting video to see what we think, removing one of our senses. So yeah, I'm going to put on this lovely blindfold. Matt is going to be doing all of the playing. Never before have any of these basses, sounded so good with, with Matt at the helm.
Like, how well do you know your bases when you're hearing, say, a £300 example and an £800 example? That's where, is it diminishing returns? Like, is it all hearsay?
Yeah.
Knowing your bases as well, setup will play such a big thing. Like, some of the more affordable bases might have a better setup, so actually might sound better.
Should we run through our list in a minute of what we've got?
Yeah, I think
can
so.
kind of-
Should we just use the whiteboard?
Let's do it. We have got the Squier 40th anniversary P bass, the Fender 50 style Mexican 60th anniversary P bass, the Sterling Stingray Ray 4, USA Ernie Ball Music Man Stingray, Fuji Gen Jazz bass, the Glary Jazz bass.
1983 Fender Jazz bass. Now this one isn't Johnny's, it is mine, and I've thrown it in just because there's a couple of other like jazz style basses in there. So I thought, why not throw a vintage jazz in? Will he be able to pick it apart from a Harley Benton or the Glary? Let's see.
The Harley Benton fretless we've got in there. Now, some of these might be more obvious than others what they are. Squier Vintage Modified Jaguar. And last but not least, the Guild Starfire 1. We are running everything through my live rig here. What you're hearing is just the Dark Glass Exponent 500. And we're taking a DI out from the back, so with the cab sim on it going straight into the audio interface, and that is what you're going to be hearing. So we're going to be hearing the Ashdown cab, you're just hearing the cab sim out the back of the Dark Glass. Should we do this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Actually, I could just do it like this, and then I wouldn't have a clue.
It's definitely.
What is it?
It's definitely red. You ready?
Yeah, I definitely cannot see anything. I can't even see, I don't even know how close things are.
Can you hold hands?
Yeah, please. I can't really ask any questions about them, can I? This is just going to be on sound.
I would say you can probably ask me to like roll the tone off and things like that.
Yeah.
That's probably what
That's
you can
pretty
ask me to
standard
do.
across, isn't it?
I would say nothing else, because then you're going to start getting into, some might have more controls than others and things like that.
Okay.
So.
I'm really nervous about this before. I was super confident coming in, but now I'm not. Now I'm sat here with the blindfold on. I'm like, oh no, this is the channel down the pan if I don't get anything right.
So we'll start with fingerstyle on this one, and then I'll move over to a pick.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm going to move over to a pick.
Yeah.
And I'm going to roll the tone off.
Do you know what it's I said before, like, your playing makes everything sound so good. So I'm like, oh wow, that sounds so much better than any of my basses. Oh wait. So I think I've got an inkling.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure this is a P bass. You've been cheeky here. I think, based on my experience with my basses, my first instinct is that is the black Fender P bass.
Okay.
So Mexican made. Budget is around like the 700, 5 to 700 in the second-hand market. New, these would have been 700, 800, I think, at the minute. I think, can I change my answers for these?
I think because this is only the first one, it's like unfair to hold you to this one because this could be a jazz bass.
Because it's a Stingray.
Yes, right. It's a 5-string. No, yeah, I think we can definitely change answers as you hear other ones if you decide to move back. But for now, are we going with this was the black P bass?
Let's put that one in for now.
Okay, I'm going to unplug it and then I'm just going to mark that on the board and then I'll grab the next one.
God, this is horrible. For the record, I mean, I suppose I'll comment on each one as I go. I thought that sounded really nice. All the amp settings are pretty flat. I felt with that I could hear a nice kind of fairly punchy mid-range, which kind of led me towards that P-bass territory.
It definitely had that almost signature mid-range to it, didn't it?
Yeah. Are we ready for bass number 2?
I think so. We should probably mention that there is a mix of round wound and flat wounds on these, which probably, again, not the most scientific method.
There's only one with flats.
There's at least 2.
Oh wait, is your...
No?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I remember now.
So that'll be a giveaway in that sense, I guess. Although I am Johnny and I have discussed this off camera, and I'm gonna do my best to trick him. So he's given me like kind of free access to kind of play how I want. So I will be.
Can I take that back?
So this is bass number 2. So that was it with fingerstyle.
Okay, I feel like a dilemma where I feel like I'm going to think everything's a P bass. Unless these are both P basses, because that sounded very P bassy again. Initially, I thought it kind of sounded like more like a jazz with the bridge rolled off. And then I was like, well, I know you're not that mean.
I'm going to give you some more tone settings on this, I think, and just see how you start to, because I have been very specific, obviously, with some of this. So.
Okay, that has really thrown me, because that to me sounds like you're going more towards a bridge pickup now. There might not even be one in there, but it sounded a bit thinner, a bit raspier, you know.
A bit honkier.
That's the word I'm looking for. A bit honkier, and that's that jazz bridge sound.
I'm going to give you one more tone on this one, because this, you know, obviously being blindfolded, it does make it a lot trickier. And I will say that, you know, I think that you're doing quite a good job in terms of describing the sounds that you're hearing. Regardless of what bass it might be, I think you're doing quite a good job.
I think I know what it is.
Okay.
I think it's the Jaguar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I was just thinking then, I was like, it's too P-bassy sounding. I like those pickups in the Jaguar, the vintage modified like Duncan design ones. They're really warm sounding. And when I thought about it then, you know, it's got bridge pickup in it as well. I'm gonna say that's the Jaguar for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Jaguar then.
If I get all this wrong, are you gonna talk to me again?
I'm definitely going to take all your bases off you.
Let's go. Bass number 3.
Base number 3. Some pick tones.
Okay. I think that's a jazz, naturally a bit scoopier. Now, I've got I've got 2 theories here, and this is really going to offend you, Matt. So I'm so sorry. I either think that this is your bass or the Glary.
Wow, what an outrageous statement.
Because it sounds to me like the action is quite low. It sounds lower than what I recognise with my basses, and it sounded good. Like, if anything, it's a good thing for Glary, not bad for you. I'm not saying, God, that sounds like the cheapest bass in it. I mean, that is what I said, but I feel like the action sounded lower, but it sounded good. And the harmonics you did, can I hear those again?
Yeah.
They sound good, and I don't feel like you had any trouble getting them. Oh, this is going to be horrific because that's potentially the most like, or one of the more like, if you want like boutique vintage basses. So I get this wrong. This is so bad. I think it's the orange jazz.
Okay.
I'm going to go with it. I don't think the action sounds that low on the Glary. Sorry, Matt.
No. So we're going to go with orange jazz, the 83 jazz.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Ready for bass number 4?
Yeah. I was even listening to you tuning it then and was like, does that sound familiar? Can we have some pick style, please?
Of course we can, sir.
So do you know what's really interesting?
What's that?
When you started playing,
Yeah.
And you were doing like lots of percussive playing, and I could hear like the taps on the body, almost like all the taps on the strings, really loudly. And for a second, I thought it was the semi-hollow.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, ooh, could it be that? Could that be what I'm hearing? I don't think it is. Can I hear? And I don't like when you plugged it in, it didn't sound like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna be super obvious. But it was giving me hints of that. Can you play with some tone off stuff?
Yeah, sure.
I have to say, and this is the problem with having one of your basses in here, because I feel like I'm treading on water to say anything.
A lot of my basses have so many foibles.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this is probably, I think it might be my least favourite.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah. It's quite pokey, and that really works in some sounds. It's like one of those basses I'd hear on Instagram and be like, that sounds great with this guy playing it, but it's not very me.
Sure.
And that's what the kind of thing I'm getting from it at the moment. This is a hard one for me. Okay, I have to give an answer. This I'm perplexed by this one a little bit. I am gonna go with the Glary for now on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleepy Glary.
Sleepy Glary. Do you know what the problem is as well? We've got so many basses, I'm forgetting what we've got.
I'm forgetting what I played.
Yeah.
So we're saying bass number 4 was the Glary.
You're saying that. The pause then. Yeah, put it down for now. I feel like I'm going to change my mind on that, but
okay.
Yeah.
That was it with the tone off, just a caveat.
I was going to say.
Very bassy sounding.
Yeah.
Probably the bassiest sounding one I've heard today in the room.
Yeah.
So this is it with everything just wide open.
Okay. Can I hear, like, really digging in on, like, 2nd fret A string?
On pick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, weird request.
Yeah.
Can you slide from the G string?
What, as in from the 12th down?
Yeah. Okay, that was actually really helpful. I mean, I say it's helpful. It's made things more confusing.
Not to give too much away, I would be interested to see if you get this one right. Because it almost sounds like different to what I was expecting it to sound like.
Give me one note.
Where do you want it? Anywhere?
Anywhere. Okay, I'm gonna do a repeat answer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one is the black and gold P bass.
Okay. So what you thought was the first bass?
Yes, and let's change the first one to the Squire 40th.
Okay.
I say that because knowing those two basses, it sounds quite I prefer the sound of the Squire. I think it sounds a bit meatier, a bit richer, a bit warmer. That one I know sounds a little bit thinner. I was getting kind of that kind of vibe.
Okay. You ready, Captain?
I'm ready.
So this is just going to be your finger style.
Straight away, I think that's the Guild.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not as loud as I thought it was going to be, and I'm actually not getting that much evidence from being this close to you. Like, obviously, this is a hollow body, semi-hollow bass, and I thought I'd be able to like hear that through you playing. Actually, can't. Like, I know this is blasting in my ear as well, but it's more the short scale. I feel like I'm hearing. And I feel like your playing is kind of naturally adapting to that. I don't know. That's the instant like feeling I got from that one. So I'm going to say the Guild.
So just happy with that one. That's the Guild.
I mean, now you're making me think, but yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
No more. You don't want any more tones?
I feel like there are some absolute staple sounds that I thought I'm going to know the Fujigen. Know that sound. I'm going to know the Stingrays. It's so strange. I feel like I haven't heard those yet.
Yeah.
So either I'm just going to hear them all now, or my ear is really messed up. And I'm going to have to get it cleaned out.
We're gonna soon know, aren't we?
I don't want to. Let's just leave it a mystery.
I am hyped
Okay.
for this one, because I've been wanting to play this one. Right. You ready?
Yeah, man.
I'm going to give you a bit of tone off first, I think.
Can you please give me some riding on the on that?
Would you like with a pick or finger?
Yeah, with a pick, but this is pick.
And that's pick.
This is pick.
That's something else for later.
The riding, I know, threw that off. Could you give me A string, 2nd fret?
Yeah.
I think that is the Glary.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that I'm getting two very different sounds in my ears. This side sounds good. I like the sound. I think it sounds good.
Oh no.
You having fun?
I'm having tons of fun.
Yeah?
This is a great bass.
Is it?
Really fun to play.
Let's stick with it.
You're going to go Glary. So just to mention, you have already used up your Glary pass.
Yeah, I know. Now, can you remember which one that was that I thought it was?
You thought bass number 4 was the Glary. Now I know which bass that was. So do you want to change your answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bear in mind, I don't know what 4 sounded like now. I thought it sounded like Glary.
Yeah, I mean, you were convinced. And general.
I've lost so much faith.
Right, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go. Which number's this now?
So this now, I believe, is number 8.
God, who needs this number of bases? No one.
Everyone.
That is the most different sounding one that we've had so far,
Yeah?
which gives me, big clues.
Mm.
Can you play some more, please?
Yes, of course. Would you like fingerstyle? That was on a pick.
Yes. Yes, fingerstyle, please. Matt, can you just slide for me?
Sure.
Okay, I think I might know what this one is. This is going to be the fretless.
There's really nothing else it could be, is it? Like, a fretless is such a distinctive sound.
I've got one right. Like, goodness.
The thing is, like, there's no way you can even really make them sound.
No, you did a great job. You did an amazing job.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
man.
so interesting.
Yeah.
With a pick, like, if you are really, like, on it with your intonation,
Yeah.
you'd be like... If you're really staccato, you
Yeah.
don't get that, like, intonation warble. Whereas, like, if you play it with, fingerstyle, and, like, most people, like, and me included, you always go... I mean, you're always doing that kind of, like, vibrato-y thing to, like, get your intonation out.
But it's like, I've got a fretless. This is what it's for,
Yeah, it's the expression of, like, like, there's no better way of kind of having complete creative control of the instrument than not having any frets. So you're always, like, very slightly out, and it's a bit wobbly. And,
I think it sounds great. I really like this bass.
I actually have this, I think I said to you off camera, one of these was the first fretless bass I've played. It wasn't mine, it was just some guy that I used to work with, and he got it as a Christmas present. He was like, oh, check this out. And I was like, this is killer. And, like, for the price point, these kill. There we go, bit of fun.
Yeah.
Well,
So Stingray, that one, please.
Stingray, yeah. Is there anything you have heard and got wrong?
Yeah, all of them. Well, like I said earlier, I don't feel like I've had any stingrays jumping out at me yet.
Sure.
So I feel like there might have been one that I've missed. Also, I feel like I've made a massive error of judgment with my Fuji Gen. I think I might have done it a disservice. I think we might have heard it. Unless I'm going to hear it now, like, coming up soon. I don't know. It's one that I'm worried about because I really like that bass.
You ready?
I'm ready. Stop. Okay, bit more faith. I know I'm down to 2 with this.
Okay.
This is a Stingray for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think this is the white USA Stingray. The Sterling gets you like 75% of the way there in terms of sound, like a Stingray, traditional Stingray. The USA one just has that 25% more like glassiness on top when the preamp's flat. When you can get close to the sound when you're boosting it a little bit more, but having all these flat, I'm leaning towards that being the USA.
Do you want a few more tones before you make a decision, or are you happy with that one?
Let's lock it in and move on.
Okay.
Every single one, I've doubted myself at the end because you've gone, right, you think that this one is...
Yeah, I might just be playing.
Oh, I know.
Right, ready?
Yeah. Which bass is this? Oh. Which
Hey!
number?
This is the final bass.
Is it really?
Right, you ready for this one then?
Yeah. think that that is the Sterling.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds where you're getting this nice top end and a bit of like scoopy nature, but it's just got that more bridge pick, bridge humbucker sound to it. I think this one, but it doesn't sound as glassy as the one before, which I think would make sense with what I was saying. Louder though, it's much bassier. I can hear it kind of drive in the speakers a bit more.
It's definitely got in the room. You might not hear as much in the recording, but certainly in the room, it feels like it has a lot more prominence in the low end.
Yeah.
Like low and low mid, it feels a lot punchier, and I feel that like listening to it in the room, it probably has slightly less top end on it.
And that's what's leaning me towards the Sterling, because I know that's what it's kind of missing a little bit if everything's set to flat.
But is it set to flat?
I mean, if there even is controls on it, it might be.
Is there even strings?
Happy to put that down. The only thing I'd like to do before we reveal, can I hit number 4 again? Because I said Glary for number 4, didn't I? And we've done it again.
What just happened?
Oh no.
Well, let's see what.
I don't know whether to leave this in or not.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So this is one you thought was the Glary.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to change that one. I'm going to say that is the Fuji Gen. Now, those are very different answers, I know. But listening to it again, it sounds a bit warmer. It's a jazz bass. It sounds a bit warmer. And I can hear what I thought was fret buzz, but I think it's more the setup I'm hearing from this side. And I know that one's got a lower setup than some of the others. So
to clarify, we're thinking that this is now bass number 4.
yes.
God, you're so shit. Right, well, we're finished.
When you say we're finished, do you mean I'm finished? Do you know, I'm sat totally there. I thought I was facing this way.
No, you were sat looking into my eyes.
Really?
We were gazing at each other longingly.
So I'm so sweaty. I'm slipping off the chair.
It's juicy, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, blindfolds off. I can see my bases again, and I feel full with regret. I don't know how this is going to have gone, especially with some of them, which I thought would be fine, but who knows? Right, lay it on me.
So, what I will say is that originally you went back and changed some answers as we went along, and you had originally kind of been like pretty set on certain ones, and then after hearing other ones, you would obviously go back and reevaluate.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that, one, is great, shows your ears really good, and you definitely know your bases, which is a great thing. But it was also really interesting to get your first impressions on a few of them that I was like, right, that's really interesting that you thought it was that one. Yeah. And then obviously you'd go back and change, but it is that interesting thing of when you've not got the aesthetic or like it's not in your hand, some of them sounded very different to your ear initially with no context. Yeah. So it was really interesting.
Everything else has such an influence on the sound of it and how your perception of it. And then added that, in my experience with this, having someone else play it as well. And some of these basses I've never played through an amp before. I've only played them at home. So that was really interesting as well to kind of hear some of those differences.
So the first one you said was the Squire 40th anniversary P bass. Originally, you said it was the black one, and then you went back and changed. And it was the change that made you get it right.
Great. The difference between those two, I think I said it earlier on, is the black one's a bit thinner sounding. I think when I heard that, I thought, it's it sounds on the thinner side to me, so perhaps it's the black one.
Some of that as well was I was really playing on the
I knew you were. I was just going to say, I think a lot of that playing because it gives it that kind of sound.
Well, that's some of it. I was like thinking, oh, I wonder if I can make it sound a bit more like a Ray by like kind of like really hanging out on the end of it. Some of it when I was just like with the tone roll, I was really on the neck and stuff like that, just to give it like a really fat bottom end, like on jazz basses and stuff like that. Just so I was trying to throw you off a little bit, but yeah.
Good
Obviously,
show.
in the end, you definitely got that one. Second one, you just straight away smashed. So you thought that the Squire Jaguar Vintage Modified was number 2, and that was it. Like literally, I think originally you were a bit, I'm not sure because it sounds like a P bass, and then as soon as the bridge came in, you were like, I know the sound.
Yeah, 100%. Because I thought, like, because I think I said it sounds like a single coil jazz, but then I'm not sure. And then as soon as we went to the bridge, I was like, of course, that's the one I'm forgetting about.
So bass number 3, unfortunately, you got wrong because you at the end you've decided to swap 3 and 4. So you thought that bass number 3 in the end was the Fujigen Jazz. Actually, bass number 3 was my 83. And originally, you thought it was the Glary.
I knew something that would happen. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. It's set up so low because I only used that one as a slap one. So but obviously we said we weren't going to do slap. So as soon as you get in those treble strings, your fingers start so buzzing, which is great for popping.
Which is why I thought, like, out of this ear, I'm thinking, it sounds quite. Maybe it's the affordable one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. So you got that one wrong, unfortunately. As I said, you ended up deciding that was the Fujigen one, which also you would originally thought was the Glary. So then going back to the Fujigen, you were kind of like, oh. So for bass number 4, you said that after a bit of a swap around, it was the 83, but obviously we know that the 83 was the other way around. So those were the ones that tripped you up, basically. You kind of got those ones wrong.
So I, in the end, got the Fujigen and the 83 mixed up. Okay. Well, I'm happy with that result, though. I can handle that.
It's going to be really interesting. Obviously, you've not listened to this back yet when we're filming this, but it's going to be so interesting listening to your comments on the Fujigen because you're quite critical.
Yeah.
But off camera, Johnny's like, the Fujigen's like one of my favourite basses.
Yeah.
So it was so funny to be in the room listening to it. So those ones you got wrong. 5, we ended up swapping out. So originally you'd thought number 1 was the Fender, but after hearing the actual Fender, you decided to move that one to 5th.
Yeah.
So that one you ended up getting right. The Guild, you got right as well.
Oh, phew.
The Guild, I think, is such a distinctive sounding bass. It's got so much more bottom end because it's not highlighting those like transient kind of like, overtones. Yeah. Which you tend to get with a longer scale bass. And also, it just has like a dubbiness to it. And it makes you play kind of a bit more like, I guess like sensitively. Like it certainly does for me on any short scale, obviously this one included. But
that's how they sound best though, I think.
Absolutely.
Like more minimalist kind of
and we've said this on your podcast actually. It makes you want to play in a bit more of like a staccato fashion where you're just letting that note decay really quickly.
I definitely picked that up when you were playing that one. I was like, I think that's...
I'm cutting the notes.
Yeah. It gives it that short scale vibe.
Number 7, well, you came back to after a bit of umming and ahhing up and down the list, we decided that was in fact the Glary. Yeah. The Glary, honestly, out of all ones that I played today, the Glary was one of the best playing basses, which is such a bizarre thing. I loved playing it. You'll probably see it back in the video. I was having such a fun time playing that thing, and it's great. The action's great. It sounds, for 80 quid, it sounds
out of the box.
Ridiculous.
I haven't touched it.
It just proves that it's so hard to buy a bad bass now. I remember when I was like picking up my first like instruments, like which were guitars, but like. At the time, like you could still buy absolutely awful instruments. Your first instruments, like action, like up here, and the only thing that I think you feel the price point of that slightly is probably the machine heads and like the electronics feel like they've got like small pops in them and stuff like that. And what do you expect at that kind of price point? Like as an entry level, you're gonna get something for your kid, or you just want to get a first bass and like dabble with it before you invest in the money. That is a great instrument. Right, so the next one was the fretless. Again, it's such an interesting sound, and obviously you got that one right as well. There's no way around it. I was trying my best to make that sound like a fretless.
I said it earlier, but you did a great job, man. At the start, you had me fooled. And then when it changed, I was like, Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. I can
The
hear a little
characters
warble in
coming
there.
out. Yeah, as soon as you get any kind of like just a little warble over the fret marker, it's just like, yeah. And then the last two, you had absolutely no qualms about this one at all. You've clearly got an ear for stingrays. You were just like immediately like, this is the full fat one. This is the cheaper one.
Yeah.
And you were so like, I was almost trying to be like, you sure?
No, well, you did that with.
Are you sure?
You did that with all of them, man. I was like,
I wanted you to say that one was the fretless. No, you did so well with it. Like, you know, that felt to me like one of the surest ones for you. You were kind of just like, this is why this one's the American one. This is why this one's the import. And like, interestingly, although they're based around like, you know, fairly similar spec, I guess, in some ways, like they do sound intrinsically different.
Yeah.
The full fat American one, as you said, it does definitely.
So I got that right.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you'd be like, but you got it wrong. Psych.
No, you got it right. And as you said,
okay.
like the top end glassiness and like upper mid of the full fat one is certainly the giveaway for that. It does sound so much more dynamic in the top end, whereas the Sterling, it tends to, for me in the room, it was boosting the low end a lot more.
Massively.
And it was almost like in the room you could hear like it almost like clipping the amp a little bit because it was just like pushing the bottom end so much.
Yeah,
more.
and the preamps, it's just the volume's on full. The preamp it's all set to flat, so it's not like we're boosting any bass or anything.
Everything on that one I think was set flat, So
yeah.
I think we would definitely have started them flat, and if I was maybe trying to trick you, I'd have scooped something out of it just to be like, you sure? But yeah, like flat, they sound so different. But you know, great. And again, the Sterling for the price point feels great. The neck on it is lovely.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable bass to play. Yeah, no, I'm so surprised because you went back and changed a few. It ended up making your like score much better. Yeah. So you got 8 out of 10, which is great. Yeah. But before, when you were starting to like kind of be like, oh no, this is the Glarian, I was thinking, oh, that like 5 in or something, we were kind of like 2 to 3, and I was like, oh, it's going terribly. And then you clawed it back. It was
phew. Well, that's good. Yeah. My biggest takeaways from this is that jazz basses are hard. Like, they are hard to distinguish between, I think. There's very slight differences where I'm like, I'm not sure.
I think had the setup been different on my jazz bass, I think that would have made it much more difficult because it was only the buzz that was making you think it was one of those two. Yeah. And I think had I brought the action up before I got here, then I reckon it might have been a bit more difficult to pinpoint the two.
Interesting. Quickly before we end, what was your impressions? What was your favourite that you played today?
I really liked the 40th anniversary Squire. I thought that was great. For the price point, they're just almost unbeatable. The only thing that I think comes close, but is a slightly different flavour, is maybe the Sire stuff. Because again, it's just a great kind of like, you know, import row level. Yeah, the spec list is. Oh, you know, roasted necks and all that jazz. But the Squire felt great. The 40th anniversary one, the full fat Stingray sounded great, and I quite like the Fujigen as well, which was interesting to me when you were like, oh, you know, this one doesn't sound as good kind of thing. So I was like, ooh. But yeah, that one's good. The Harley Benton fretless, again, is a great entry level into fretless. You know, if you just want a cheap fretless to dabble on before committing to a more expensive build, again, a great bass. The one that disappointed me the most, though, controversially, was actually probably the Fender. It didn't do anything better than the Squire to me. Yeah. And to be honest, I prefer the sound of the Squire, and I think you were the same. So the one that disappointed me, though, my jazz. It's so funny when I'm at home, I love it, and then in here I was like, wow, it sounds so bad. So.
But you know, with a bit of tweaking here and there,
it needs such a massive setup for this kind of thing. It's so funny.
Right. Well, I don't know about you, but I've had so much fun doing this.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
And dude, thank you so much for coming down. Like I said, all of Matt's links, all the socials, etc. Go and follow him on Instagram. All the links will be in the description, so you can check it out. Let me know in a comment down below what you thought about this kind of video, what bass you like the most, and any other thoughts you have and all that jazz. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.